Ladies, there is a new dating trend that actually puts your ego and boosts your ego, I should say, and increases your reputation. Here to talk more about it, and it's called throning, is trauma expert Dr. Janie Lacy. Dr. Lacy, welcome
Hey, all
back.
right.
Good to be here.
So, what we got to ask, what exactly is throning and who came up with this royal dating trend?
Always a trend, right?
Yes.
When we look at this throning, it's essentially just dating someone for their status, their social position, or their influence that instead of genuine connection. So we want to think of it as the modern evolution of what we used to call social climbing through relationships.
Aha.
And Andrea, when I think about this terminology, I think it's even though it's relatively new and in popular culture, the concept isn't, right? So we know that this behavior throughout history, when we think about royal courts to Hollywood, is always has always been there. And when we think about also social media, right? Social media is amplifying this phenomenon, making statuses and influence more visible and quantifiable than ever before, including like dating apps and Instagram. It's essentially created this digital kingdom where people can strategically align themselves with others that have maybe more followers or desirable lifestyles.
Yeah, I can just think of words like, status and thirsty and this, that, and the other thing. And Mitch and I were talking about this during the break. This seems like it's all about like dating upward, right? And you mentioned social status. And guys will say this oftentimes when they marry a really great girl. I'm
Oh,
married up.
I'm married up
I'm
for
married
sure.
up. Mitch even says I'm married up. Have you seen any hilarious or outrageous examples of someone clearly throning on a date?
In my practice, I've probably seen a lot of examples, but some ones that stand out to me is some ones that where, in particular, there was someone where it really reveals deeper issues, right? But remember, one client shared that her date spent the entire evening strategically positioning them to be photographed by
Oh,
paparazzi outside of a celebrity hotspot. And, she was saying that he literally moved their outdoor table like 3 times to ensure that they were in the background of the photos being taken for a reality show
Wow.
no.
at the next table. And then, I think about another memorable one where it involves someone who was insistent on speaking loudly about their connection to their date's famous family whenever the server approached the table. And she would say that, it was a dramatic because they weren't even talking about that. So he would say, well, remember about your cousin who won that Oscar winner? So like, stuff like that where people are just doing stuff to kind of show, puff themselves up in those examples. But to me, it's amusing for us. But I couldn't say this without being a psychotherapist. It just shows profound, like, just insecurity and a lack of their authentic identity when I see someone that acts like this or just want to attach themselves to other people. Because when someone's self-worth becomes externally validated, they're often making significant to me, they often have significant trauma issues or attachment issues that deserve compassion rather than attention
Yeah.
in these
Well,
situations.
because they're desperate for some sort of identity, and God bless that waiter for sweeping up all the names he dropped during that date. Um, do you think this trend is more about confidence, clout, or just a clever dating strategy? Or is it, as surface, is just wanting to up your likes and your followers on social media? I hate to say that,
Yeah,
but that
yeah.
seems to be what the motivation is here.
It's fascinating because throning actually represents the opposite to me of genuine confidence. Confidence comes from internal validation and our self-worth, while throning, we can say that it reflects more external dependency. And what looks like strategic dating behavior is usually masking profound insecurity. So the pursuit to me of clout through relationships reveals something important about our cultural moment that we've created, in my opinion, these social systems where proximity to fame or influence has become a form of currency. When relationships become strategic for accumulating this social currency, we fundamentally misunderstood what creating lasting human connection and happiness is really about.
Dr. Janie Lacy, always a pleasure to see you and chat with you. For more, just head to our website, dailyflashshow.com.